up when you say your question. Rebecca has a microphone, so she'll hand you a microphone. What's that?
Go ahead and point out.
Okay, I'm just going to stand up. I can see. Right.
What tools do you have and you have to employ to recover the investment if you go into default?
So the question was, what tools do we deploy if there's a default? How do we address that? So I'll speak to the Grameen model, which is true of many group lending. But basically, what happens is the first step is that if there is a default, the other members of the group, in our case, there's 4 others, are responsible for covering that default. And in a case of a genuine hardship, they'll help her out. In a case of a willful default, they'll gently put pressure. Now, when I say gently put pressure, there's an incentive there, which is that in any center meeting that we run, we do the loan disbursements after we do the collections. So invariably, someone in that meeting is waiting for a loan to be dispersed. And if there's a repayment that doesn't come in, we don't disperse that loan. So there's an incentive that they have to make sure each person repays. In addition, the individual has an incentive as well because their future loans, which are progressively larger loans, are linked to the proper repayment of their initial loan. So this is one of the things that makes this work well. The second thing is the product mix. Our products are small weekly repayments, which are much more costly to collect, but it mimics their cash flows. So if someone's selling milk and they're getting paid on a weekly basis, it becomes easy for them to repay that on a weekly basis than if we go 3 months down the line or 6 months down the line. These are the 2 things that primarily drive the high repayment.
What has been your observation on the percentage of people who are defaulting in different cases?
Sure. I mean, we do have, for those cases that are genuine hardships, we also have an interest-free emergency loan, we have the insurance products, and the 1% write-off is because of those hardship cases. So if there is a perennial problem, we'll go in and figure out, what's happening there and occasionally write off the loans. Now, the way to answer the question about how much defaults are happening, in terms of repayment to us, it's less than 1% default. But in terms of the internal adjustments, people helping each other out, we know that happens all the time. If you walked into one of these center meetings about 10 minutes before we came in, you'll see a lot of this going on. And that's fine because they know each other, they trust each other, they'll lend someone 100 rupees today and then get it back from them. And that happens all the time. We consider it cash flow smoothing.
I don't know if Motez or Jeff want to also respond to the question.
For us, it's for the group lending, we still have this the same almost. For the individual, and this is because we have a lot of it's a higher amount, and so we have most of our lendings are totally unsecured. We only request grantor in case of age, in case of some risk that we realize. But actually, we check out why are the delays. If it actually for certain, we try to help the guy. If it because he used the money for something else, we have our legal department that's very aggressive in handling these cases, and we still have a good provision that we can cover. But actually, we didn't experience more than 0.5% all over the past 18 years.
If I could just add, Motez basically described the process for individual lending. We only have individual lending. We don't have any group lending, and it requires a very detailed follow-up from the first day that the borrower is in default, that the loan officer accepts full responsibility. Contact was made with the loan officer. The loan officer has to take responsibility and make the follow-up. So one day they either make a phone call or they actually make a visit to the client, and then there's a process. At 7 days, a letter will go out if the borrower still has not paid, and at 14 days, and at 21 days, and then different people are involved in the process, from the credit manager to the legal department as well, so that you're reminding the borrower of the obligation to repay and the importance of doing so for the future viability of the institution. And you hope you don't get into a situation where you have to prosecute, but it's very important that you do take these, especially in the beginning phase, that you set a precedent, that you're a serious company, you're not a fly-by-night, that everybody has a responsibility to pay, and if you don't pay, there are consequences for not paying. And this is something that we believe in very strongly. We've been through a situation in Mexico. MicroCred has an operation in Mexico as well. We've had some difficulties with our portfolio quality. And one of the lessons we've learned, painfully, unfortunately, is that you really need to be resolute with that. And there can be no exceptions to that. It may sound harsh, but in the end, I can't agree more that this is a business. This is not a social handout. And that you have to be profitable, because profitability ensures your long-term viability.
So why did you decide to do individual lending versus group lending?
It's all market-driven. Yeah. It's really on what in India maybe that's what the market wants is group lending. In our experience, based on our market research in China, that's not what the market they want. Individual lending. That's what they're used to. I mean, in some places, Uganda or someplace, they want group lending. So you have to really. That's another lesson to learn. You can't go in thinking that you're going to save the day by bringing your methodology, the green methodology, whatever it is, and you're going to provide something that people don't want. I used to work for Finca years ago, and that was sort of the approach. We take the Uganda model and we'll just pop it down in Russia and it'll work, be done. Well, it doesn't work that way, because if the clients there don't want group lending, then you're going to fail. So you have to be really in tune with the marketplace and provide the type of products and services that they're demanding.